Hi there, my name is Nathan Masters and I'm the founder of SimpleShot. And today you've gotten a new Hammer Slingshot. So we just want to run through it real quick with you. You've got a supplied owner's manual, but a video always helps. So here's how it comes. This is the Hammer Complete Kit. Now you may have purchased a variation of it. All is going to work about the same. So let's just go through it here. So the Hammer is a modular slingshot system, meaning that it has multiple heads and can be adapted to your shooting style or your end use. So you've got a handle. That's the foundation of the hammer. We call this the hammer handle. This is your locking plate. And we've got two heads. We've got a smaller head, that's just for slingshot round ball. And then we've got a larger head, and this is for shooting arrows. Now you can also take off this bracket and shoot round ball out of this one as well. But the great thing about this is that you can switch from shooting arrows to round ball very quickly. I'm going to show you just how quickly it is. So there's a saddle here, two pieces fit together and lock into place. That simple. If you want to shoot round ball, simply take that head off and put on the round ball head. Now we also have the ability to shoot with a wrist brace. So the full kit, or the kit that comes with a wrist brace, will include a wrist brace. It simply slides right into the bracket here, and then there's a locking plate that you'll install with a screw. Just a couple of twists with the Phillips screwdriver, you're in place. Now this is great because not all jurisdictions allow you to use wrist braces, and sometimes folks just don't like wrist braces. For shooting round ball, it's really not necessary, but for shooting the arrows, you definitely want a wrist brace because it's a much heavier pull. Another interesting thing is this wrist brace is adjustable to fit your arm size. So if you get yourself dialed in shooting bare armed and happen to have on a heavy hunting jacket, it's not going to orient itself the same. You can simply adjust the Velcro until it orients into your correct position. So the wrist brace, if you care to remove it, you can take it completely off, but it does also fold so it transports very flat and fits into a bag much easier. So you've got the handle, the two heads, one for arrows, one for round ball. We also have a Picatinny rail here, so you can add on accessories like flashlights, bow fishing reels. Anything that'll fit on a Picatinny rail will fit on the base of this handle. You could even rig it up to set your GoPro up on it. Use your imagination and be sure to send us some pictures of it. Alright, so to get the slingshot installed, in the bottom of your bag, you're going to have a couple of accessories along with your owner's manual. You've got a set of Slingbow bands and a set of round ball bands. The round ball bands are flat bands. We're going to install those first. And one thing you're going to want to do is figure out what your draw length is. You can check our owner's manual to give a little detail on that. You can also check out some videos on our at SimpleShot Academy on how to determine your draw length and how to tune your bands to your draw length. We're going to set these up full length right now. So you will notice that all of our bands come with two strips of rubber. You can discard this for the hammer. These are for tying on to traditional style slingshots. Alright, so you've got your bands here. You'll notice that there's a smooth side and a fuzzy side. We're going to place the pouch with the smooth side up. This will be the orientation when we install the first band. Now we've got the slingshot set up here. This is the target side of the slingshot. This is the shooter side of the slingshot. The target side references the side of the slingshot that faces the target. The shooter side represents the side of the slingshot that faces you, the shooter. We're going to install the bands from the target side of the slingshot with the smooth part of the pouch up. We're going to set this slingshot up in the over-the-top configuration. So we're going to insert the bands, leave about a ½ inch on the shooter side of the slingshot. Next, we're going to take one of the black plugs, and you notice that there's grooves on it here, and a line. We're going to match that line up to the orientation of the bands. We're going to insert that and give it a little tug to seat it. Now here's where it looks like it might get a little tricky. We're going to keep the same orientation with the pouch but smooth side up and simply come around and install in the same way we did on the first. So now the bands are installed. We've got the shooter side of the slingshot over here. The bands are coming out of the target side of the slingshot. The correct orientation for shooting is the bands over the top. You'll see here that when we do that, we've got the fuzzy side of the pouch ready to accept the ammo, and we have a nice V trough. What that allows is when the projectile releases from the slingshot, the bands are nice and smooth. Now you'll notice upon shooting that your bands may be tangled. The easiest way to deal with tangles is to simply run your fingers up the bands and reset them. want to make sure you do that before every shot. Finally, before we shoot, we're going to take the supplied 7/16 steel balls. And we're going to insert these into the plugs. Insert them as deep as you can with your finger. If you need assistance, a pencil eraser works great. Just jam it down in there. All right, now you are ready to shoot round ball projectiles in the over-the-top configuration. Likewise, if you want to shoot through the forks, simply orient your bands in the through the forks configuration. However, we suggest for beginners, always start over the top. Next, onto the Slingbow. Similar attachment, but a little bit different. You always want to use the white plugs for attaching the Slingbow bands. Before we start, we're going to go ahead and put the ball bearing into these. All right. These are the Slingbow bands. This is your D-loop, where the arrow knock is accepted. This is a finger tab that can be removed. If you prefer to use a mechanical release, simply take this finger tab off and use a mechanical release on the D-loop. We do recommend using a mechanical release. It makes it much easier to shoot and you can get better consistent accuracy. The orientation of these bands, we always want to make sure that the little tag ends are to the outside. So this is our orientation. Let's go ahead and set this slingshot up. All right, so again, we have the shooter side of the slingshot. This has the aiming bracket for the holding the whisker. This is the target side of the slingshot. One big difference with installing the Slingbow bands is that we're going to insert the bands through the shooter side of the slingshot, not the target side of the slingshot. So we'll insert the loop through, making sure that it's centered. We're going to place this plug with the bands going into the saddles and making sure that it's centered. So I just simply like to give it a tug until it's centered up and then ease it into position. And once the plug starts to go in, you can simply pull on the bands to seat them all the way. If they need a little help, you can push it in. But that's their orientation, the bands in the vertical orientation with equal amount of length. Make sure you take the time to make sure there's no kinks in there. We're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. All right, now you are ready to shoot arrows. So you simply knock the arrow between the D-loop here, drop it into the biscuit, draw back to your consistent anchor point, and shoot it just like a bow. These bands are set up to shoot full-length arrows. Make sure you don't use a shorter arrow. The last thing you want to do is to draw the arrow beyond the biscuit. All right, so that's a quick rundown of the hammer. This is a really adaptable slingshot, great for folks who prefer a hammer grip slingshot, or for folks who really like shooting heavy bands. The hammer excels for that. We do offer really heavy bands for shooting larger projectiles and a wide variety of accessories to fit the hammer. Thanks for purchasing, and if you ever have any issues, don't hesitate to reach out and contact us. We love talking slingshots, and be sure to have some fun. Thanks for taking a look.